you very much, Mr. Master of Ceremony. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's an honor to moderate such a panel, but you will allow me before that to convey on behalf of the panelists and on your behalf and on behalf of the international community our most sincere congratulations for the United Arab Emirates for this small achievement. When you see the other achievements, they are uncalculable. Congratulations, and please go ahead. You are setting the example for such a success story. I will take 1 minute to highlight an element that I don't know if everybody knows about this part of the world, this country. In fact, this country succeeded ages ago, before any such exercise, to achieve what is the dream of everybody, every country, which is the regional integration. This country, thanks to the leadership, thanks to the late leader, the wise leader, Sheikh Zayed, they achieved to materialize the union of several small states to form the first example or success story of regional integration, which is the dream of the Middle East and North Africa, which unfortunately remains one of the most disintegrated regions. And we count on you, sir, to convey to your leadership that this example has to be emulated in the region. They have also played a key role to achieve to a certain level regional integration in the GCC. So, next step is the MENA region at large, with its African dimension and Asian dimension, and of course, the Mediterranean dimensions. I'm sorry if I improvise this part, but it is one of the elements that everybody should know about. It has not been created as such, it has been developed by the wisdom of the leaders of this country. And then, of course, such a forum where I don't think the United Nations has managed to bring together this diverse crowd from different parts of the world, going beyond the 193 member countries of the UN. Again, congratulations, sir, and do it again with more specific. I will not take more time. We have 1 hour, and I'd like to have this hour devoted to what my dear panelists will be saying and the messages that will be conveying. Of course, protocol would have demanded that I would give the floor to the ladies first, but since we are in the invited by the United Arab Emirates, I will ask His Excellency Dr. Ahmed Bahloul Al-Falasi, Minister of State for Entrepreneurship and SMEs in the United Arab Emirates, to take the floor. I need your attention. Thank you. Sir.
Thank you very much for the kind words, and I think I also have to thank all the member countries who came here, whether to this conference or to Expo, because the UAE, as you know, we're only 50 years old. And no matter how much resources you have, if you don't have strong bilateral relations with everyone, you cannot develop. This country was developed through partnerships across different fronts, from education to economic to even political, and will continue to do that. And again, as you said, Expo is a big testament. It's the largest participation of pavilions in the history of Expo. If anyone walks around outside, you'll notice how busy it is, getting busier and busier by the day. And I think people are already missing Expo, and we do have a plan for it. This whole venue We'll have 6 months of decommissioning, and then a few pavilions will stay, and the rest of it will become District 2020, which will be focused on SMEs and entrepreneurs. So we want to make this as a hub for entrepreneurship. Going back to the UAE, I think you very well articulated how the UAE is a springboard for the region. We looked at our numbers. If we look at all the SMEs that got funding, institutional funding in the UAE, 42% actually were not set up in the UAE. They were set up in the wider region, but then they moved to the UAE to get access to market and to access to funding. So almost half of our SMEs come from outside the UAE. And that mostly is driven by several things. One is security and safety. Now, I'm not only talking about geopolitical safety, but also healthcare. During COVID, we were able to continue doing business. The government has invested very heavily in the healthcare system. And as you know, we have not only the highest tests per capita, but the highest vaccination per capita. And that is extremely important for businesses during this uncertainty in these upcoming waves. So that's number one. Number two, the tremendous connectivity logistically by airlines. It's very easy to import and export, it's very easy to travel. The connectivity is extremely important, externally and within the UAE, the infrastructure. And thirdly, and I think there's something on the softer side, is that the UAE by definition is 90% non-resident. So when business people come here, they feel at home, because you're part of a community that is working together in the UAE and calling UAE home. And if you notice the past couple of years, the UAE has doubled down on the message of coexistence, the message of tolerance. So we're trying to create a model in a region that is consumed by difficulty, by geopolitics, to have a safe haven, if I should say, where you know you are safe, you know you are respected, you know you can conduct your business, and it's all about socio-economic activity. We even launched a program when I was the chairman of the space agency called HOPE, as you know, the Mars Hope. It was called that name for a reason, to give hope to the whole region. So again, we couldn't do this without our partners. We continue our focus on being open. We continue our focus on doing business. SMEs are a priority globally. They make over 90% of all registered companies. They make over 50% of GDP and 2/3 of employment. So you are the backbone of the economy, and we'll continue to support that. We've changed our regulation as well. We've allowed foreign ownership. We're signing agreements. We just signed with India the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, which will unlock a lot of potential of flow of investment and trade between the two countries. And watch the UAE, we'll be signing even more. We have now Indonesia in the pipeline, we have other countries as well. So we also as a country went back to the drawing board and said, the past 50 years have been great. How can we make it greater for our entrepreneurs, for our SMEs? And you notice us right now picking countries where we sign bilateral agreements to give our SMEs bigger access and a much more competitive advantage internationally. So again, thank you all for being here today. You can call UAE your home. You're always welcome to be here, and I encourage you. You have 2 more days in Expo, so whenever this is done, please enjoy the good weather, enjoy the festivity, enjoy the culture. Doing business is great, but you can't do business without the cultural connection as well. So please visit Expo. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Minister of Finance. Thank you so much. And indeed, it's a source of pride to see that we managed to get this audience here. Is it okay now? It's quite a source of pride to manage to get this crowd here while the attractions, as you said, are outside. So, without further delay, I will now move from Asia, from the MENA region to Latin America. I give the floor to my friend, Her Excellency Saskia Warden. She is the Minister of Economic Affairs, Entrepreneurship and Technological Innovation from another small country, Suriname. It's very famous, although it is small. So, this is another way of introducing your country to this important part of the world. You have the floor, Mrs.
Thank you very much. On behalf of Suriname, I would like to express our gratefulness to His Highness Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. On behalf of Suriname, okay, great. On behalf of Suriname, I'm thankful to His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, UAE Vice President, Prime Minister and ruler of Dubai, for inviting me to the annual investment meeting. And with this, I believe that he expresses commitment to empower women and also his willingness to reach out to Suriname and invest in that part of Latin America. Suriname is this peaceful country, part of the rainforest in South America. We are also part of the Caribbean community. And I would briefly express three major points why SMEs are important in Suriname and the Caribbean. That's one. I will also inform you about the role of the government and investors in SMEs in the Caribbean and Suriname. And three, I would like to inform you about three major investment opportunities in Suriname. So the first part, according to the Caribbean Development Bank, about 85% of businesses are SMEs, which contribute about 70% of GDP. And not that alone, almost half of the working population is employed by SMEs, of which 40%, listen to this, 40% of SMEs owned in Caribbean, Suriname, are run by women. So we see women in Suriname and the Caribbean are very successful in doing business. We seek synergy with investors and create win-win situations, so we get the best out of business. SMEs are important, and you see, invest in also in women doing business. That's one. The second part, the role of the government and the role of investors. In Suriname, we provide strong entities to enable SMEs to meet the standards required on the international market. They provide access also to export market, so we make sure we have good law in place to protect investors, to protect SMEs. We ensure that we have good international relationships, like I'm here, we are also here on the expo, to open the world to SMEs. And also, we are part of the Caribbean community, as I said earlier, and we also signed the UK-APA agreement, which provide SMEs also access to the European market. So you see, the government facilitates SMEs. Now the role of investors. Investors are important to provide financing and market competitiveness to SMEs. Generally, the government is not in a profit motive. We do business, we are more facilitating. But you could get high return on investments in Suriname and to the Caribbean. But that's for the investors. So you have a role there to invest in the Caribbean and invest in women business also. And you can get a higher market return, which generally the government don't focus on. And what are the opportunities in Suriname? There are many opportunities, but I would like to mention just three, because we have just a short time. And those three are the expanding oil and gas sector, access to good agricultural opportunities, and our rainforest. We're part of the Amazon rainforest. Now Suriname has been blessed with great natural resources. And recently we have discovered massive amounts of oil and gas right in our waters. So that also provides SMEs opportunities to be those suppliers, even to the large companies, those suppliers of probably specialty goods and services. So the oil and gas sector opens more investment opportunities and also access to market. Now we have agriculture. About 90% of Suriname is untouched, pure, virgin Amazon rainforest. 90%. We're one of the greenest countries in the world. So that means with this we have great access to tourism, and we have great access to clean water supplies. So one, we have agricultural opportunities, fertile land. We have the opportunity to be like provide the world with food, the agricultural products being needed. We already export rice, we already export various types of vegetables, we already export various types of fruit. We have millions and millions of acres of fertile land in Suriname, ready for agriculture. Then we have the third one, as I said, the rainforest, which provide good opportunities to ecotourism. And what we have noticed, especially for the medium-sized investors, opportunities, there is an expanding market in the mineral water and bottled water industry. Even more and more people are preferring canned and bottled water for the consumption. And with just $1 million, you can already set up a plant and have access to spring water, have access to mineral water. And this industry has high profit. You could get about 40% profit on an annual basis on just $1 million. Isn't that a great opportunity? And we have this clean, huge supplies of water. We have enough water for and Suriname and the Caribbean and Dubai. So I would like to keep it by this. Great opportunities in Suriname. We are a peaceful nation. We have good international relationship, and we are a clean and pure part of South America and the Amazon rainforest. Thank you.
Amazing. You cannot find a better advocate. You agree with me, Mr. Minister? And you have it on all levels. The political, the social environment, voiced by a beautiful woman who is the best advocate to her country and to Latin America. Congratulations. And then open your books now for reservations to go to Suriname, and ask Emirates to have a direct flight from Dubai to there. Now, I will move to another impressive small country. This, you have to be thankful, grateful to Expo 2020 and to UAE that are introducing you to another world, another part of the world, Suriname. And now I move to a small country in Europe. I don't think many of you heard of it, but you will hear about it now. I'll move to San Marino, represented by this young man, His Excellency Fabio Reghi, the Minister of Industry, Handicraft and Trade, Technological Research, and Regulatory Simplification in the Republic of San Marino. So, you heard how specifically targeted his portfolios are. It's a small government itself. You have the floor, Fabio.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here today in this beautiful place, this beautiful city, in the beautiful setting of the Expo 2020 in this event. I would like at the beginning to say thank you, Your Excellencies, Ahmad Bilal Al-Falazi, I hope my pronunciation is correct, and this ministry for this invitation and for the opportunity to take part in this important event. Let me remember to you that the San Marino is the smallest republic, one of the smallest republic in the world, certainly the most ancient republic in the world. And so I believe and I think that the subject that we speak about in this panel is very, very interesting, especially for us in the Central, because our companies in San Marino is really micro companies. I think it's very interesting, especially in consideration of the evolution of international framework and the challenges that we have faced globally in the recent years and that await us in the future. Challenges that, in my opinion, require us to rethink the model and organization of our economy and even of our companies. An economy that will certainly depend to the ability of companies, of small companies, to innovate and to be part of the system growth. I think that today more than ever it's very important that the public and private sector must be able to work together to achieve the global goals on which depend the survival and evolution of our economy system. Every country today, large country and small country like the Republic of San Marino, will have to play their role in this context, in which it will be necessary to find ever greater integration, certainly, ever greater collaboration. But in my opinion, first of all, it's very important to have a great awareness and knowledge of its own economic identity, because it's important to understand what is the new position of our country, probably in the international context. Certainly in a context, it is a transformative context today. And this is the mission of the Republic of San Marino. Today, the Republic of San Marino tried to rethink and redraft its economic system to find its new position in international context. And this need not only depend for the Republic of San Marino to the pandemic period, to the pandemic crisis, but as at its origin since 2006-2008, when the economic model of the Republic of San Marino go into crisis. And from that moment on, we need to try to think what is our new economy, new model. And in this process, our vision and our openness is that our country, being a small but autonomous country with a territory of only 61 square kilometers, but with a complex and varied economy, can become a competitive technological hub in the middle of Europe, where innovation can not only be a theoretical innovation, but a practical innovation. A place where you can test new solutions in a small scale, and if they work, you can bring them on a wide scale in other countries. In other words, a laboratory, a national laboratory of models, economic models, in all sectors of our economy, and I hope in new sectors of economy. And on this street, I think our 5,000 small and medium-sized enterprises that make up the San Marino economic system will play a fundamental role, because with their competitiveness and flexibility, they will be able to give their contribution to the rapid evolution of the system. And I think it's the role, the mission of private sector. But in my opinion, it's very important, even the role of public sector. In fact, I think that if the institution will be support this process, it's important to think and to draft new laws, new competitive laws to evolve our legislation. And these circumstances is absolutely complete in the Republic of San Marino, not theoretical. Because, for example, in San Marino we are able to approve a new law in new sector in a few months. And I think this is a competitive aspect that you can find in other countries probably. It is therefore certainly a transformative moment, a transformation that is certainly taking place on the international level, but for the Republic of San Marino, probably for other countries in the world, but in particular for the Republic of San Marino, the transformation also has a national dimension. And this push for transformation, for innovation, for digitalization is a priority in order to better face the changes we can see at a global level. Considering this vision and the goals that we have in front of us, it will be fundamental, in my opinion, to have the ability today to develop our international relationship and relations. For the Republic of San Marino, it's very, very important, this aspect. And so it's important even to dialogue, even between culturally and geographically distant countries, like probably are our countries today, so as to be able to truly face together the challenges, which are not today challenges of a single nation, but in my opinion, of the entire planet. And this is the goal, and this is our goal today. Thank you.
Minister Righi, thank you so much. And I think he's giving you a scoop now. This country that has for many, many years been managing to live without this exterior ambitions is now opening the gates. So this is an opportunity that you announced that in this big forum. And I will also note that how important you referred to the SMEs, and I'm sure that among this audience, people will start Googling you, but hopefully, this is not a request, but an idea, you'll open an embassy soon in this part of the world. I know you're a small country, you cannot afford to open embassies in 22 Arab countries, but I leave the choice to you. Don't forget Tunisia.
We have today an ambassador in Dubai.
In Dubai? Abu Dhabi?
Yes. She's here, our ambassador, Samari Elisabetta.
Madam Ambassador, sorry, you're in Abu Dhabi?
She's a resident.
Non-resident, okay. I'll take your business card. Now, I will move for another woman, a vibrant, I would call her the live wire of an important country in Africa. So please fasten your seat belts. We're moving very fast from a continent to another. Now, I'd like to give the floor to my friend Amina, Excellency Amina Priscille Longo. She is Minister of Women and Child Protection in the Republic of Chad, Morita, Chad. Amina has made an exceptional effort, as she is French speaker, to address you in Arabic, sorry, next time in Arabic. This time she will address you in English. Amina, you have the floor and you have my microphone here.
Thank you so much. I would like first to say thank you to the Emirati government for inviting us to this important meeting. Chad is very honored to be part of this great story. Chad, my country, is actually having the presidency of the G5 Sahel. And as you might know, Chad is going through a lot of difficulties, facing several scourges. The health crisis caused by COVID-19, but also the security crisis caused by the terrorist attacks in Chad, but also the incursion of armed group that has caused recently the death of the president, Marshal Idriss Déby Itno, leading the country to a transitional step that is actually led by the General Mohamed Idriss Déby. And now it's necessary to make understand that there is a third crisis that is the socio-economic crisis caused by the two first ones. And it's necessary to let you understand that also the real victims of those crises are women that are working in the informal sector, that are peasants, but also widows. But at the same time, they are holding like 43% of the SMEs in Chad. The Chadian government, above all the crisis that he's going through, has developed strategies and solutions to end the crisis, but also to support SMEs in Chad, particularly those who are led by the women. So I'm going to tell you how the government of Chad has supported SMEs in Chad. Just after the crisis of COVID, they put like a free water for 6 months for all SMEs in Chad, but for the population also. The same thing for the electricity for the SMEs. We have also the suspension of the payment of tax for all the SMEs for a six months period. The custom also exemptions for basic necessities, the distribution for food products to vulnerable groups, composed mainly by the widows and women, the establishment of a fund of 30 billion to support the entrepreneurship of young people and women in Chad, the state subsidy for the purchase of agriculture inputs for a 5 years period, the grant by the government to support compensate the loss of purchasing power of cotton farmers. That are in 40% of them women. The establishment of a free online call for women to denunciate the violence that they are going through. The integration in the public sector for more of 60 women that are working in the COVID side on the health. But also we put in place a national program to empowerment women and youth people. And this program actually is running and is also needed to have real support. So we are also asking for people here that would like to come and support the women in Chad, the SMEs in Chad, to do not hesitate. We have a lot of services to support new investors that would like to come in country to support the initiatives that are being led by women or by the youth. But we think this is not enough yet, and would like to recommend to the states, all the states in Africa or even the country above, to implement actions aimed in the development of support infrastructure, but also the industrialization and economic diversification. To establish also a public-private partnership with other countries to manufacture medical and pharmaceutical products to reduce countries' imports and ensure high-quality control of production. Harness the digital revolution to transform the economy of our countries to achieve the 2030 agenda and fight against the youth unemployment and make possible the implementation of preventive measures and develop resilience capacities of activities in context similar of COVID. So we now understand that the digitalization of the public service is very important. To guarantee also the loans of SMEs affected by the crisis, to support job and socio-economic recovery through the establishment of employment promotion program adapted to the post-COVID, and take specific measures to elevate suffering in favor of vulnerable groups, mainly prisoner, people working with disabilities, the elderly, refugees, migrants and displaced population. Actually in Chad, we have more than 3 million of people that come in Chad just because they are running crisis in Sudan, in Cameroon, but other countries that are beside us. So we are vulnerable, we are having difficulties, but we are also big in heart, supporting a lot of other people that are running to us. And also having the presidency of the G5 Sahel is not easy. It's asks a lot of investment, it also needs all the partners of Chad to support our country. Actually, we are going through the transition. The transition period is also a period that is too critical. It needs a lot of funds, mechanisms to support and have a great transition. That actually is one of the best in Africa and need to be supported by partners, but also the friends countries of Chad. So thank you so much. I've tried my English. Thank you so much.
Amina, I think you betrayed me. You told me your English is modest, but you betrayed all of us. Your English is excellent. My friends, Chad needs your help. Chad needs our assistance. I don't think we should think that Chad is far away. The security of Chad is our security. In the MENA region, I am at the International Peace Institute calling for the region integration. I would not stress it enough that the security of Chad is our security. And I'm here taken as a witness my brother, the president of Badia, Sidi. Get in touch with his bank, Banque Arabe de Développement en Afrique. As SMEs, they provide finances, advice, expertise. Let's help Chad and all the Sahel countries. They are our brothers and sisters. They are the dimension of the MENA region, our bridge to Africa. As we are here with the Minister of Economy and with a European who also knows that the security of Europe depends on the stability and security in the MENA region. And as Amina eloquently, I call her Amina, she's Her Excellency, eloquently said that Chad is also a victim of the refugees in millions. And those refugees are heading towards Europe. And if we invest and encourage the SMEs, we'll help them to stay there and prosper in their country. So my call to all of you is to help Chad and the Sahel countries, and we cannot afford to have them as the least developed countries. Now, I move to another accomplishment. Okay, I'm so sorry. I was so happy to have the minister, the Emirati minister, for such a long time, but he's called to another function. You are excused, and thank you so much for coming with us. Thank you.
Before that, could we please have a big round of applause for His Excellency?
Okay, now we get back to our session, a very interesting session, and I now have the honor and the pleasure and the complicity of calling my friend, my colleague, my brother, His Excellency Dr. Ibrahima Sheikh Diong from Senegal, another brother country. He is the United Nations Assistant Secretary General and Director General of the African Risk Capacity Group. He will elaborate on that by enlightening us on his views and his body's views, this UN entity view on the SMEs and the challenges in Africa and beyond. Ibrahim, you have the floor.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. I can't get you. Good afternoon. Before I get started, I know we have so many African SMEs and youth coming all the way from Africa. Can I ask you to give him a big round of applause for coming all the way from Africa to be here? Big round of applause. This is extremely important because when the global discussion is taking place around the world, you will hardly see African SMEs and startup to make it all the way to Dubai to conversation. And the fact they're here, it's a major, but like important, we celebrate them, but also we show what they do best. Before I took the job at the United Nations, and the opportunity of being an entrepreneur, being a minister in Senegal, but also supporting SMEs in Africa, across the continent. So what I want to share with you is actually 3 points. Number one, my reflection on how I see the progress of African SMEs in the African continent. Share with you some of the challenges that I see that African SMEs are faced with, but also come up with some very big recommendations of what we can do collectively to support African SMEs to be part of the solutions. When we look at the African SME and the continent, one thing that seems to be a general consensus is that 80% of the jobs in the continent are provided by African SMEs. They are important players when it comes to developing Africa. So therefore, any African country should take the SMEs more seriously because of their contribution to the growth of African economies. And that's why I'm delighted to have so many African economies, African SMEs here in the room. Now what has changed over the years is that the business environment for SMEs in Africa is evolving. A couple of years ago, African government were literally interfering with the business of SMEs across the continent. Today, many African governments are pro-business. They have a better business environment. It's much easier to register your business, but more importantly, it's much more stable to do business in many African countries. So therefore, that evolution is a testimony that Africa is open for business, but more importantly, there's a dynamism happening in the continent that we should celebrate and showcase. If you look at across the room, I had a chance to look at all the businesses. Well, what you see today, unlike in the old days, when many African youth and women, when they come out from universities, they tend to actually join the government and the public sector. Today, many young people, many women are inclined to create their own businesses to be part of the solution and create other jobs. So therefore, it's an excellent time in the continent, not only to do business, but to support African economies and African SMEs, and that's a sign. There's a change in the way that business is actually done in the continent. Now, regardless of the evolution of the business environment, there's some challenges that we need to face collectively. Number one, access to market. If there is no market, there is no business. And that's why across the African continent, it is one thing that we can do to support SMEs to make sure we get opportunity to access the market. So what does that mean? So whatever you do actually in African countries, make sure there's a very strong local content. Whether you're having oil and gas, whether you're building infrastructure, whether you're doing agriculture, and make sure that the local SMEs and the continent are part of the market share, so they can begin to have access to market within the continent to start with. Second, as we look at African integration, there's tremendous opportunity for SMEs to take a piece of the pie. And that's why access to market within Africa, within the African countries, we should also take into account the importance of making sure that access to market also take into account the opportunity created by the African SMEs as well. Second, access to finance. What most African SMEs need on the continent, it's not to have access to debt, but have access to equity, have access to active funding at a long-term basis that allows people to believe in African SMEs, African startups, so they can get the resources required to grow their businesses And I'm delighted to see an organization like Badea and other institutions providing seed capital that allows African SMEs to get the funding they require to grow their businesses. And it is extremely important going forward we take more risk on the African startup and the African businesses in a way they can get the capital required to grow their businesses. Now last but not least, business is not just about market and capital, it's also capacities. I am absolutely a strong believer that no matter how much capital you provide to African SMEs, we need to also provide resources to build their capacities to grow their businesses. What is management skills? What are actually skills they require to grow as a business? It is extremely important to provide the capacity with everyone. Again, going back to Badea, going back to other development back in the continent, they provided the skills required to support African business as well. Now last but not least, extremely important, not one institution alone can do this. And that is why I believe that the initiative that Badea is involved in, that is to create what we call a regional coalition where government, private sectors, banks, other institutions will come together to provide what I call a one-stop shop to support African SMEs to have access to market, access to capital, access to resources, so that the African businesses can actually be able to grow and be part of the solution in African continents. In the end, what the African SMEs are asking is to make sure the government does what they do best, is to facilitate business and let the SMEs do what they do best, is to do business. And together, they can be part of the solution and building the Africa that we want, building the Africa that will create jobs. And finally, and this is something that I always love to say, if you look at what I'm wearing today, it's made by African designers, African tailors. So the best way to support Africa, let's wear what we make, let's buy what we consume, what we produce, let's support local contents, and in the end, we are part of the solution as opposed to be part of the problems. So Mr. Moderator, that's my message for Africa, and that's what I'm looking for this conference. Thank you.
We cannot applaud you enough, my brother. Africa needs such voices, and Africa needs the help. But as you said, Africa is part of the solution. We have to manage our house within Africa, within African resources. And as you know, Africa is the richest in the planet. So hopefully the return of awareness and consciousness to Africa will help African sons and daughters like you to voice that message, but just join that acts to that message. As Chad is privileged today, we will conclude by listening to the Arabic voice. سوف نسمع الصوت العربي لتشاد بعد الصوت الجميل. After the beautiful voice in English, we will hear the voice of Arabic in Chad through His Excellency Dr. Abdelrahim Yunus Ali, Secrétaire d'État, which is Vice Minister, I think, of Economy, Planification of Development, and International Cooperation. His title exactly is Dr. Abdelrahim Yunus Ali, Secrétaire d'État pour l'économie, la planification du développement et la coopération internationale. À vous le floor, à vous le microphone.
Thank you very much. Good evening. As my friends said, I want to make my introduction in Arabic. السلام عليكم. مثل ما قدم الحوار، تعلمون جميعا في تشاد عندنا لغتين، اللغة الفرنسية واللغة العربية، فلا أريد أن أحاول أن أنتقل باللغة الإنجليزية حتى لا نعطي تشويه عن المداخلة. الموضوع الهام موضوع الحلقة في إطار حكم أن وزارة الاقتصاد في تشاد من ضمن الوزارات التي تهتم بالتخطيط في مجال دعم الشباب والمرأة في تكوين الشركات المتوسطة والشركات الصغيرة والشركات المتوسطة والشركات الكبرى في إطار دعم الاستثمار في تشاد. فتناول هذا الموضوع بإيجاز شديد، وكذلك في إطار الرؤية الشاملة للاستثمارات في إفريقيا. وأخذ تشاد نموذج لهذا. ففي إطار التطور أو الخطة العامة للقارة الإفريقية في إطار الاتحاد الإفريقي لدعم الاستثمار ودعم القطاعات المختلفة وخاصة قطاع الشباب وقطاع المرأة في ظل خطة التنمية الاستراتيجية للقارة الإفريقية 2020-2063. ففي هذا الإطار تشاد تسعى في إطار البرامج الاقتصادية والتنموية أن تعطي أهمية كبرى للقطاعات الصغيرة أو المشروعات الصغيرة والمتوسطة التي تدعم قطاع الشباب، لأن الشباب في القارة الإفريقية يتجاوز 60%. هي قارة المستقبل، قارة العالم هي القارة الإفريقية، وكل الموارد الطبيعية وكل فرص الاستثمار المستقبلية سوف تتجه إلى القارة الإفريقية. فلذلك في هذه الجلسة، وإن كنت عضو الشرف لست من الأساسيين في المداخلة، لكن أشكر الإخوة لإتاحة هذه الفرصة لكي أوضح أن القارة الإفريقية هي قارة المستقبل للاستثمارات ولإدارة الأعمال أو ريادة الأعمال والاستثمار. كما الآن الغربيون يتجهون إلى القارة الإفريقية والآسيويون وغيرهم، هنا نريد أن تكون الرسالة الموجهة إلى القارة الإفريقية، حيث الموارد الطبيعية الآن العالم يتجه إلى عالم البحث عن الموارد الطاقة، الموارد الأولية، الموارد في مجال الزراعة، في الثروة الحيوانية، في القطاعات الأخرى، المجالات الخدمية. كل هذه الفرص أو أغلبها سوف تتجه إلى القارة الإفريقية. والآن القارة الإفريقية كل الدول الإفريقية بدأت تضع تصور لتشجيع الشباب في تكوين الشركات والمؤسسات، ولذلك هناك رؤية أيضا لجذب أو لدعوة الجهات التمويلية الدولية أو الإقليمية أو المحلية لدعم هذه المشاريع. فلذلك كانت الآن كل العالم يتكلم عن ضرورة التوجه إلى إفريقيا ودعم هذه القطاعات والفرص السانحة لإفريقيا هي في القارة الإفريقية. فلذلك في هذه الندوة نقول أن هناك مجالات واسعة وفرص سانحة لكي تقوم معظم الشركات في العالم، كل مشاريع التنمية أن تتجه إلى القارة الإفريقية، وأن الشباب الإفريقي الآن يستعد ليحارب البطالة ويحارب التوظف في القطاع العام والتوجه نحو القطاع الخاص، وإنشاء المبادرات الاستثمارية بحيث يكون الدور المستقبل للشباب وللمرأة وجميع القطاعات في إفريقيا. فنحن ندعوكم في هذه المناسبة لكل رجال الأعمال، لكل الشباب، لكل الشركات التي تريد أن يكون لها دور في المستقبل أن تتجه إلى تشاد، إلى الدول الإفريقية، فالفرص سانحة، وهناك استبشار كبير جدا للتقدم نحو التنمية الاقتصادية الشاملة في إفريقيا وللدور الكبير للشباب. أشكركم.
شكرا جزيلا. شكرا سيد كاتب الدولة. His Excellency pleaded for the need to bank and invest, bank and invest in Africa in general and Chad in particular. This is the future, the best opportunities for investments for SMEs and others. This is a young continent, and I'm glad that his speech was more African than Chadian, and this is the sense of the hope of regional integration of Africa. And he said this continent contains the largest proportion of youth, and this is the future. And he called on all the SMEs to look into Africa through Chad, of course, and they will make it a win-win deal equation. And I think we don't need to translate that into English. In all languages, Chad is your destination and your duty. Before I conclude, I will ask the panelists to stand here together for a photo with the Dynamo of Investment in Africa. President Tupania, join us here, please.
Excuse me, just a few seconds to conclude. Excellency, we would like to thank, on behalf of the annual investment meeting and the Ministry of Economy, we would like to thank our partner, the World Entrepreneur Investment Forum 2022, and our main partner, the Etihad Credit Insurance, for their support. We would not have been able to do it without them. I would like also to mention that we have missed His Excellency Ayman Al-Muayyad, Minister Youth and Sports Affairs of Bahrain, but I would like to maybe put just a note. I was talking to a colleague and he says, why do you smile in this region? UAE has ranked the second nation in the Arab world in the happiness index. Bahrain is number 1. So we are competing with Bahrain to be the, which one is the happiest? And UAE has ranked 24. Let's make this gathering the happiest ever, and let's invest in the human capital and the fuel of the future. Thank you for being with us. Thank you so much. Excellencies, one photo for everyone. Thank you. Sorry, yes. Thank you. Thank you. For the next session, please, can you help us empty the first row? The first row would be reserved for some personalities, please. So thank you. Leave the first row empty for the next, or as a courtesy to the VIP guests. Thank you so much. Warahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. On behalf of the annual investment meeting and our partners, Etihad Credit Insurance and the World Entrepreneur Investment Forum, we welcome you to the special remarks. Agriculture has always been at the forefront of the human progress. Without food, no investment, no people, no potential. So as the world moves on, specifically in the GCC region, food and agriculture are at the center of the economic development, as it represents one of the pillar sectors for food security and special development or special sector development. For this, we have special remarks by His Excellency Mohammed bin Abeid Al-Mazrou'i, President, Chairman of the Board of Directors of the Arab Authority for Agricultural Investment and Development. I would like to call upon His Excellency to the stage. But before that, I would like to announce His coming Excellency. His Excellency Mohammed bin Ubaid al-Mazrou'i has been the appointed President and Chairman of the Board of Directors since April 2013. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration from Boston University in the United States of America. His extensive path and career spans over 30 years in the field of international economic relations in many high-level positions. Before assuming leadership of AAID, His Excellency Mazrou'i was the Assistant Undersecretary of Assistant Undersecretary of Ministry of Finance and Assistant Secretary General for the Economic Affairs in the GCC. I would like you to give a very big round of applause for His Excellency.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The Arab Authority for Agriculture, Investment and Development, AAID, is pleased to be participating in the annual investment meeting 2022, being held under the patronage of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Vice President and Prime Minister of the UAE and ruler of Dubai. Please accept my sincere gratitude for having AAID as part of this innovative and vital event. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome and thank all participants and attendees joining us from all over the world. Esteemed speakers and valued guests, the past years have been marked with different challenges. These challenges have motivated scientists, technologists, and agriculturalists to create mechanisms and innovative technologies in various sectors and fields. Several innovative and creative efforts were undertaken globally to overcome the financial, social, economic, and environmental challenges that affected individuals, businesses, and governments. We at AAID have contributed to these efforts by monitoring and continuously enhancing the strategies of the 53 companies affiliated with AAID to align with the current global standards, and we have also adapted new and enhanced strategic plan for agricultural investments to benchmark all investments opportunities in global best practices. The flexibility of the new strategic plan enables AAID to respond to unforeseen changes in a timely and appropriate manner. AAID has also launched an initiative with the goal of securing the nutrition needs of the Arab nations and ridding them of the fear of food shortages. This initiative should fulfill the urgent demand of the Arab countries for basic food commodities. It is also aimed to increase intra-Arab agricultural trade through its affiliated companies and its intra-Arab partners. The initiative was adapted due to the COVID-19 pandemic, resulting in the breakdown of international trade and food supply due to limited mobility. Given the advancement in artificial intelligence in agriculture, AAID saw the need to increase investment in technical programs and smart agricultural technologies. Hence, AAID has established a company for smart agriculture solutions to contribute to the agro-tech companies and SMEs projects. IIID and its affiliated companies created and implemented numerous sustainable models that assist in increasing agricultural production and productivity, promote social economic development, protect the environment, and build a skilled workforce through training and capacity building programs. IIID is keen on contributing to sustainable agricultural development through the integration of agricultural projects, the transfer of modern agricultural technologies, implementation of smart farming systems, and supporting the development of rural societies as well as small farmers and producers. As a joint Arab institution, IIID has total cultivated area of almost 300,000 hectares, industrial land measuring 8 million square meters, more than 45 years of experience in agricultural investment and development, and a total of co-funding of around 39.5 million US dollars. IIID implemented programs for small-scale farmers and producers in a number of Arab countries and achieved significant and notable results. Recognizing this segment's role in enhancing food security, a revolving loans program was targeted at the small farmers and producers with an aim to increase crop productivity by 150% and increasing beneficiaries from 1,300 to reach about 431,000 farmers. IIID's funding program for the rural women has also benefited female farmers. Last but not least, we would like to take this opportunity to invite businesses, financial institutions, agricultural organizations, and governments to join IIID, sharing know-how and expertise to improve existing practices focused on creating innovative and sustainable methods that support advancement of the agricultural sector and thus promote global food security. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency, for this insightful remarks. Now, if there are any questions that might be asked, can you please address your question to His Excellency? Any questions? Yes? Can we have the mic? Mic? Yeah? Yes. Have a seat, Excellency. Welcome.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I am Mr. Kassoum Koulibaly from the Republic of Mali. And you know that Mali is one of the biggest countries in West Africa, and we have 1.2 million of land of our territory, and the space where we have about 2 million hectares arable land for agriculture. And it's very important for us to attend this session and to share what we need to develop in our country and to see what cooperation we have between your authority and the African countries. What are the main, the main strategy you have to develop better cooperation between your authority and African countries so we can improve the agricultural, agri-food, and agri-tech sector in our countries in Africa. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Do you hear me?
Thank you. Yes.
You hear me? Okay. Thank you very much. I think we in the WID would like to, of course, to expand our investment, and would like to also produce more foods to the Arabic countries. I'll be frank with you. Our mandate only allows us to work in the Arab countries, but that doesn't mean that we don't extend our cooperation with your country, especially Mali. It's close to the area where we work. We can do that through indirect ways or methods. Let's find out what are the opportunities there. It has to meet our requirements, which we have certain criteria. If the investment meets these criteria, we could look at it, but indirectly through some of our companies or our partners.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. محمد من موريتانيا. أريد أن أسأل سمع؟ سأتحدث اللغة العربية. أنا أدريها دريتها. في الشو العام الآن أهلية التأمير البلدان العربية ومنظمة الموقرة فيما يخص المقبلين على اسم الابتدائي. أريد أن أعرف ما هي إجراءات الابتدائية والتصور للأيام الأشهر العظيمة والسنوات. شكرا.
طيب أيها سادة العرب، طيب يعني الأزمة الحالية أكيد تعطينا يعني حافز وتفكير كيف ممكن نقلل من آثارها السلبية على دولنا وعلى شعوبنا، حقيقة على العالم. أنا أعتقد ضرورة وأهمية يكون في هناك تعاون حقيقة دولي والتزام من جميع الدول. وأقولها بكل صراحة، لا يكفي لمجموعة من الدول أن تتعاون حتى تستطيع أن يعني توفر أو تضمن الغذاء الكامل، لأن كل دولة في العالم لها competitive advantage أو مزايا معينة تستطيع تنتج منتجات أو محاصيل أساسية ما تستطيعها الدول الأخرى. وكل دول لها ميزة، يعني مثل في المينا ريجن نورث أفريكان كانتريز، هذول ممكن ينتجون يتميزون بالخضر والفواكه، لكن ما يستطيعوا يعني ما عندهم قدرات لإنتاج السكر أو الحميات ضخمة. فالقضية قضية عالمية حقيقة، ويعني تهم كل دول العالم. لابد يكون هناك في شكل من أشكال التعاون والالتزام لنضمن لكل شعوب العالم وجود غذاء كافي. بدون لا يمكن، بدون حقيقة بتصير مشاكل.
Thank you. We'll take one last question and we'll wrap up. Yes? Introduce your name, please.
Hello? Yes. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Musina. Very nice to meet you and very honored to hear to your great speech. I have developed once my own agriculture greenfield investment in the emerging market. Now I'm an investor, I'm a founder and GP of VC fund. We have our technologies that could support any kind of type of agriculture businesses to be much more effective. Would you consider other technologies?
Can you repeat the question, because I didn't. صعب إن الواحد يسمع.
Yes.
Can you repeat it?
Can you just bring the mic to you? I'll help you.
Yes.
Yes. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yes. Now? Should I start from the beginning?
You just...
Okay, I'm just giving you my question. I was a development of one of greenfield investment in agriculture, and now I'm initiator and general partner of a VC Sustainability and Social Impact Fund in Luxembourg. We are taking great technologies, and we have technologies that could support any type of agriculture project to be more effective. Do you considering to involve also technologies from other countries that could be, let's say, could be useful for your agriculture in your country, or you're looking only for local know-how?
Yes, got it. Okay, thank you. Very good question. Actually, we are in the top of our priority is using and utilizing the latest technology, because in the Arab world especially, some of the countries they don't have a good resources for agriculture. So we have to develop or use the technology to be able to produce some food where we cannot produce it without the technology. For example, let's say in GCC area, it is known that we are not an agricultural area, but there are countries in Egypt and Sudan and Syria. في الأخ هناك لو سمحت في سؤال هناك.
We take one last question.
يعطيك العافية, شكرا جزيلا. جزاك الله بالخير. Do we prefer English?
Up to you.
Okay, it's okay. Now we've been updated recently that, especially after having the initiative of the Middle East Green Initiative, Saudi Green Initiative, that both entities and individuals are encouraged to make their cities greener. And when we talk about the carbon offset trading scheme and how we can make money out of planting trees, this is something that I personally am investing in with a number of my colleagues, having a platform. So if we would like to collaborate with you, how would be the best way? We're having the technology, considering the consumer psychology, of how to exchange gifts from flowers or chocolates to have trees that are more sustainable and much healthier. So this is my basic question, and thank you very much.
Okay. First of all, I would like to make it very clear that our priorities in IIID is to concentrate on the basics foods. And according to our definition, there are 5 basic foods human being needs to consume. I would like to say it's dairy, meat, cereal, oil and sugar. This is the 5 main basic foods every human being needs to consume every day. It's to others, we are not really that, it's not in our priority, but we can sit with you and discuss and use you. We try to contact my colleagues are here. We would like to benefit from this technology, and we would like to also contribute to lowering the carbon dioxide in the world.
Excuse me, can I just wrap up and just to follow up with your answer and to comment on my colleague comments, why we in the region don't focus on the green area? Because scientifically, the more green you make the land, the better environment you create around. So I see that you have an excellent approach in terms of focusing on the main food that the country is in need for, but why not go green too?
But still, we do participate in the green initiative of Smu Wali al-Ahd. I mean, because we plant trees, and these trees contribute to to the same target. So as much as we have project and stop project, we will add always to the initiative.
We believe that the debate is beautiful. We are really happy that it is instigating interest. We welcome you and invite you to discuss with His Excellency further. We need to move on to the next panel. We would wish to thank His Excellency for the most insightful remarks. Please, a big round of applause for His Excellency. Let me shake your hand. Yes. Anybody take a picture with him, please? A quick picture, please. We have a next session.